So Lizzo is in big trouble. The word big's going to be coming up a lot in this. Not for the reasons you think, you horrible person. Because Lizzo has been accused of fat-shaming her backup dancers who have been dancing for her on tour. It's a fascinating story. I'm not going to say why. I just think it's interesting that would be an accusation, okay? Body positivity is a real thing, and people should be nice. That sounds like I'm being ironic. I mean it. I do mean that. This is a bad opening to the video. I didn't mean for it to come across that way. No, it's weird. It's actually way worse than weird. Everybody seems to be focusing on that, but if we go through here, it gets way weirder. Lizzo denies sexual harassment allegations leveled by former dancers. I don't know why everybody on Twitter is focusing on the fat shaming thing. Why I do it's because, you know, she's overweight. I'm not saying she's overweight. I think a doctor would call her overweight. Are you allowed to say that anymore? This is a nightmare. I don't know what the right terms are. I'm gonna get in trouble by accident. I hate videos like this. Singer calls claims of harassment in a hostile work environment sensationalized stories. Okay, well, let's see what those stories are. Earlier this week, a lawsuit filed by 3 of the singer's tour dancers alleged that Lizzo had sexually harassed them and created a hostile work environment through sexual, racial, and religious harassment. Bloody hell, that's one hell of a trio. Not only have you got sexual harassment,
pretty bad,
racial harassment, pretty bad, and religious harassment, also pretty bad. I mean, surely, if those 3 are being pulled out, there's got to be, like, plenty of evidence to back that, because if it was one of them, you go, okay, I wonder what that's going to be. But the fact they've gone, oh no, you're actually a terrible, terrible, terrible person instead of just a terrible person, I wonder what they have to say. The lawsuit includes many claims, including that Lizzo allegedly pressured a dancer to touch a nude performer at a club and forced several dancers to take part in excruciating 12-hour auditions. I mean, that's just kind of, I don't know about the 12-hour audition. I don't work in that industry. I don't know if that's normal or not. Maybe she's got high standards. I'm not going to sit here and defend her for that, because the first part of that sentence, you know, being pressured to touch a nude performer, that's wrong. So the work 12-hour audition thing, I don't think that's relevant, really. I don't think that's the part that people got to care about. Oh, you got to do a 12-hour audition. Yep, that's not great, but she sexually harasses people. That's probably the thing that people want to focus on. The dance captain, Shirlene Quigley, that's a real name, pushed her Christian beliefs on performers and denigrated those who had premarital sex. You work for Lizzo. If you listen to any of the songs that she puts out, they're hardly holy, are they? That was for you, brother. The suit also says that Quigley simulated oral sex, talked about a performer's virginity, and overshared her masturbatory habits and sex life with her husband. Well, hey man, if it's what the Lord wants, okay? Don't question him. He wanted her to do that. He told her to do that. The dancers also alleged they experienced racial harassment from Big Girl Big Touring Inc. management, who treated the black members of the dance team differently than other members. But Lizzo is black. I never understand this. How could you be treating the backup dancers differently for their race when the person who is performing is of that same race? What? Racism just doesn't make sense. It never makes sense. If you read any story about somebody being racist, there's so much like fallacy and so many holes in the story that it just makes you think, why haven't they given up on it yet? Why haven't people given up on racism? It doesn't even make sense. So why are people still doing it? In one particular troubling passage, the suit describes a night at a club called Banana Bar, that's definitely how it's pronounced, where patrons are allowed to interact with completely nude performers. Okay. Why would somebody want to go to a club like that? I've never understood that. You know, when people go to those weird clubs where people, like, piss on them. You're a freak. Well, like the Banana Bar, things got quickly out of hand. Lizzo began inviting cast members to take turns touching the nude performers. Catching can't include that word. Launched from the performers can't include that word. And eating bananas protruding from the performers can't include that word. To be honest, this is the type of stuff I would have assumed Lizzo gets up to as a mega famous pop star, because they can't just be normal, can't they? They can't just, like, finish their tour, go home and have a cup of tea. I reckon that's what Harry Styles does. I reckon he goes home and he has a cup of tea and he sticks the TV on when he goes to bed. I don't think you'd find him doing this. Maybe you would. Why am I not there? Lizzo began leading a chant goading Miss Davies, loud enough for all to hear. Oh, so she was trying to, like, bully her into doing it. I love people like that. Oh, do this thing, especially if it's sexual. You are a terrible person, if it's true. Gotta remember, these are all just allegations. Like, it's their personal accounts. You don't know whether it's true or not. Who knows? Like, we weren't there. There's no screenshots or anything. There's nothing that I can read for evidence. So it's just their word against hers. They end up later getting fired from Lizzo's tour. And it seems like the lawsuit is actually against the tour company more than it is against Lizzo. I don't know if Lizzo owns a tour company. Maybe she does. I haven't looked into it, and it doesn't say here, so I'd assume maybe. Oh, I'm an idiot. Lizzo, whose legal name is Melissa Vivian Jefferson. How did she get Lizzo from that? Her production company, Big Girl Big Touring Inc., and Quigley are all labelled as defendants. Okay, so it is her company. That's not good. Well, yeah, she is in trouble. The facts are the facts, Davis told host Phil Mattingly. I was pressured to touch a nude performer, yes. Was I brought into a private meeting where I was kind of interrogated about my personal matters and ended up having to share very personal things about myself regarding my weight? Yes. I mean, the list goes on. I don't know. Why would Lizzo's touring company be pressed about people's weight? Seems like the one place where you'd be safe from stuff like that. And that's not me trying to be rude, by the way. That's me being genuine. Like, if there's any place where you're not going to be judged for your weight, surely it would be Lizzo's touring company. That's kind of like her whole thing that she preaches. Now, we've got Lizzo's response here, so let's read through it. She says, these last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticised. Usually I could not respond to false allegations, but these are as unbelievable as they sound and are too outrageous to not be addressed. She then calls the story sensationalized. That's a good start to be like, oh, you just kind of, it wasn't that bad. I prefer they didn't happen more than, oh, you're being a pussy. As an artist, I've always been very passionate about what I do. I take my music and my performances seriously. We don't care about that. Why is that in this statement? I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. Okay, cool. With passion comes hard work and high standards. Okay, I guess that's referring to the 12-hour work days. I get that. Yeah, you want people to work as hard as you've worked on your stuff. But she's not doing all of that dancing, Lizzo. She's not. She is not doing all of that dancing. So it's very different work ethic. She sat in the studio making music. Probably maybe standing. These people are dancing for 12 hours. It's not my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable or like they aren't valued as an important member of the team. I love when people say stuff like that. Because to me, that's like, yeah, I'm cool with it, so why isn't everybody else? Well, you're annoying. I'm very open with my sexuality and expressing myself, but I cannot accept or allow people to use that openness to make me out to be something I'm not. See, I know people who are like this, who are like, I'm just so open with my sexuality. They post pictures of themselves like naked, and I have to like mute them and unfollow them off social media. I'm not friends with these people anymore, and because I didn't realize when I became friends with them that that's what they did on their internet thing. And I remember, they'd be like, I'm just so open about my sexuality, and I'd be like, you're irritating and you make me uncomfortable, and I want you to leave me alone. I find people like this, you go, I'm just so open with it. It's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people aren't, and then it crosses on sexual harassment. So maybe keep that stuff to yourself. I don't know, man, just a suggestion. I know what it feels like to be body shamed on a daily basis and would absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. Yeah, but maybe people on your team do. Maybe they do, which would be mental, but apparently maybe they might. I'm hurt by it. Will not let the good work I've done in the world be overshadowed by this. You make music, man. You make music. Good work in the world. You make music. I want to thank everyone who has reached out in support to lift me up during this difficult time. Well, if you're lifting up Lizzo, then good on you. Now, the thing is, this does get a bit weird because for some reason, the dancers who are accusing Lizzo of all of this misconduct have decided to do an interview with their lawyer on TMZ.
Yeah, I think for both of us, there was like this always looming feeling of thinking that if you didn't do something or you didn't adhere to certain suggestions or demands that your job could be in jeopardy. I mean, there have been specific instances of, for example, whenever we were in contact with our agents and we were trying to negotiate receiving a retainer while we were working with the team, things kind of started being more tense in the work environment, more hostile. So right off the bat, we kind of already felt like the energy was shifting. And after negotiations for retainers began, we got an email before one of the shows, basically from her, somebody from her management team, saying that the way that we had been acting was unprofessional and the attitudes that we were exhibiting on the job was unacceptable.
Now, a lot of people have a huge problem with that segment that we just played through there, saying that a looming feeling is not a good enough reason to have a lawsuit against somebody, and this very much twisted the tides. People were very much supportive of the backup dancers and what they were saying up until this was released. And I could kind of understand why. A looming feeling of being forced to do something, yeah, it's not great if you're in an environment that makes you uncomfortable. But unfortunately, that's what hanging around a lot of people is like. But there's a big difference between feeling uncomfortable and then all of the stuff that's been detailed in that original post. And I think that they're not talking about those things. I think if they were talking about the actual personal events that they've been through, people wouldn't find this interview to be so weird. But the thing about this interview, which is odd, is that they have just gone for looming feeling instead of all of that stuff that we just read out earlier.
There is so many instances where dancers who did, have fun with her and, go along with like what she was doing and, be down for anything, that they were favored, they were hired for more shows, they were invited on, like private jets and to do cool things and, could hang out with her in like tropical settings like Hawaii and stuff like that. Some of our coworkers, it's just like there was no line between professionalism and personal. And so we had in our minds that if we weren't, down for anything, that we would then be ostracized later.
The thing is, this is where I have a problem with this interview, right? If I was worried about missing out on all of that stuff, but I at the same time thought those people made me uncomfortable and I didn't like what they're doing, I'd realize that the only reason I was doing it is because I would want to hang out with Lizzo. Which, clearly, these people probably liked her and liked her music and wanted to. But when you realize that person isn't the type of person that you want to hang around with, you can't really get annoyed about the fact that they don't want to hang around with you. If you don't want to be there, you're not going to be invited to the friend stuff because you're not their friend. I'm not saying what they're doing is okay. I'm not saying that what Lizzo's doing, according to what's been written here, is okay. But of course, she's going to surround herself by people that she gets on with, even if it's doing all of this weird stuff like eating bananas out of people's areas. She's going to want to hang around with more people like that. That is just something that people like that are going to want to do. It's just what people do. People want to hang around with people who make them feel good, who they're having a good time with, they're friends. And yeah, they're working together at the same time, but you can be friends with people you work with, even if you're hiring, And the difference is not being invited out on like the tropical holidays is not a good enough reason to be like, oh, I'm uncomfortable. I feel like I should have to go along with this stuff so I could be invited to those tropical holidays. You guys just don't get on. You guys clearly don't get on. You clearly don't align as people. So it's odd. Like, they're complaining about not being invited to a place with people who they apparently don't like enough to sue. And that blows my mind. I feel like it could have just been left as, we're not the same type of people. You guys can go do all that crazy sex stuff that you guys do. I won't. I'll just carry on working for you. And then, it's no surprise, and I don't think it's actually criminal, if Lizzo stopped working with people who she felt uncomfortable with to hire people who are more likely to, get along with her. Right? I don't think that's weird. I don't think that's weird at all. This isn't an office job. It's not like, But then even then, it's a team. You got to build a team for something like this. So maybe, you do want people to get on with each other. You don't want people who don't. It just seems like this isn't what I read in that article. This is people complaining about not being invited on holidays and, feeling like they have to try and fit in. Yeah, that's what cliques are like. That's what groups are like, unfortunately. And you either choose to be a part of them or you choose not to be. And you can't really cry about it if you don't like those people and you don't want to hang around them in the end. I feel like this is a bit odd. I don't question that Lizzo's environment around her workplace is probably horrific. It probably is. It probably is. And does it suck that they didn't get to carry on working with her because they didn't want to fit into that environment? I mean, yeah, it's a shame that they lose their job for that, obviously. But then, if she's not doing anything illegal and she's not doing anything criminal and she's just a bit of a weirdo and she wants to be surrounded by other weirdos, is that something that you could sue somebody over? I don't know. Maybe it is. I guess we'll find out. I have a feeling they won't win this. To be honest, I based on this interview alone, I feel like this interview has really damaged their chances of getting any form of, I don't know, returns here. The more these girls talk, the more Lizzo's attorneys are jumping with joy. Sounds like a lot of assumptions and feelings and very, very little hard proof to support these very damaging accusations. Assumptions don't win lawsuits. That's how I feel, to be honest. That comment there with somebody with 7 subscribers. Yep, I agree. Unspoken feelings don't win lawsuits is another comment. Yeah, I feel like this might not sail. This ship will sink, for sure. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll keep you guys updated if you want to on what's going on in this situation. It's truly fascinating to see. So many interesting accusations being thrown around and a triple threat. And I'm not talking about like a burger from Burger King, although I would love one of those right now. A friendly reminder that these are coming out very soon, so if you guys want to, go ahead to internetsensation.shop. Look at that little spinny logo thing we got there. There'll be clothing coming out soon on this website. We've got some new stuff, so keep an eye out, and you'll see. I'll see you guys in a video soon. Have a good one, everybody. Peace out, and have a nice day.